An Israeli airstrike destroyed a prominent building in Gaza City on Saturday that housed media outlets, including the Associated Press and Al Jazeera. The Israel Defense Forces said it gave an advanced warning for civilians to evacuate. "We are shocked and horrified that the Israelis would target the building that housed AP's bureau in Gaza. They long knew that AP's bureau was there, and they targeted it. Now, fortunately, we had a warning, and we were able to get our journalists out. We narrowly escaped a huge loss of life. We had 12 journalists in that building. And those brave journalists not only got out, but they were able to salvage much of our equipment because it's important that we continue to tell this story. You see, that building provided the best vantage point for the world to see the events in Gaza, and now that building is destroyed. And we will work hard to continue to tell the world the important events of Gaza, and we will keep our journalists safe." An Israeli airstrike destroyed a prominent building in Gaza City on Saturday that housed media outlets, including the Associated Press and Al Jazeera. The Israel Defense Forces said it gave an advanced warning for civilians to evacuate. The violence in Gaza entered a seventh consecutive day on Sunday, hours after President Biden spoke to the Israeli and Palestinian leaders, and protests erupted anew in the occupied West Bank. Before dawn Sunday, Israeli strikes destroyed the home of Yahya Sinwar, the leader of the Hamas militant group in Gaza, and damaged one of the main roads leading to Shifa Hospital, the largest in the crowded coastal strip. On Saturday, an Israeli airstrike destroyed a prominent high-rise in Gaza City that housed media outlets including the Associated Press and Al Jazeera. In separate calls on Saturday, Mr. Biden conferred with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and President Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian leader, about efforts to broker a ceasefire. While supporting Israel's right to defend itself from rocket attacks by Hamas militants, Mr. Biden urged Mr. Netanyahu to protect civilians and journalists. Hours after the call, Mr. Netanyahu posted a speech to Facebook in which he vowed to continue attacks on Hamas until Israel's security is guaranteed. "You know and I know, no country would tolerate this," Mr. Netanyahu said. "Israel has responded forcefully to these attacks, and we will continue to respond forcefully until the security of our people is reinstated and restored." With American, Egyptian, and Qatari officials attempting to negotiate a pause, an American envoy, Hadi Amr, landed in Israel for 2 days of talks with Israeli and Arab counterparts. On Saturday, the Israel Defense Forces said its fighter jets struck a media tower in Gaza housing the offices of the Associated Press and Al Jazeera because it also contained military assets belonging to Hamas. The IDF said it had provided advance warning to civilians in the building to allow evacuation. Gary Pruitt, the chief executive of the AP, said he was shocked and horrified by the attack and called on Israeli authorities to present evidence of Hamas's presence in the building. Demonstrations broke out again in the West Bank on Saturday, Nakba Day, an annual commemoration of the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their homes in 1948. In Ramallah, the administrative center of the West Bank, a siren sounded for 73 seconds to mark the years since the dispersal. The protests in the West Bank illustrated how widespread the confrontation has become since Hamas fired its first rockets shortly after 6 p.m. on Monday.